Good evening, everyone. We'll try that again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Brunswick Township Council meeting for March 14th, 2024. Will everyone please rise if you can as we salute our nation with our Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Township Clerk, please call roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilman Wendell.
Here.
Councilwoman Winston. Here. Councilwoman Zambicki. Here. And Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen.
Here.
Administrator Joseph Cusculo.
Here.
Township Attorney Raj Gumer.
Here.
And Municipal Deputy Clerk Lauren Morris. Present. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and, to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. Council, you have before you Resolution 24-96, adopting the meeting minutes from our February 26th meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any need for clarification or correction on these minutes? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Councilman Wendell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki.
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes. At this juncture in the meeting, I will surrender the podium to our mayor for his proclamation honoring 50 years of service to the East Brunswick Fire Department. Mayor Cohn. I know that. This is, yeah, I'm going to help you. We didn't practice this. Sure, exactly. So
This one?
you want to read and then we'll bring everybody up and
Sure.
then you can read off of here and I can surrender.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody. Proclamation. Whereas fighting fires is one of the most dangerous professions, requiring physical strength, stamina, excessive training, courage, and selfless concern for the welfare of our citizens, and whereas in addition to their daily duties, firefighters routinely put themselves in harm's way to serve our community. And whereas our community is truly fortunate to be served by these dedicated volunteers, with a capital B, volunteers, and whereas our firefighters serve as community volunteers with no anticipation of pay for their services above the gratitude of our community, and whereas East Brunswick owes a tremendous debt to those who, on a continuing basis, protect the citizens and property of this township, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and extraordinary service provided by the members of the East Brunswick Fire Departments, and to honor the dedication of those firefighters who knowingly accept risking their lives to protect the lives of others. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by I, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, along with the Township Council, do hereby express gratitude for their 50 years of dedication and willingness to serve and provide to those in need of our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You do this, or do you want me to read them and you hand them and shake them?
I'll read it first, and then we'll have them come up and get their honor.
How about when the mayor reads everyone's names, you come up, get the proclamation into your hands, and we'll stand around for some nice photo op.
So, representing Fire District 1, and these are people who have put in 50 years of service or more. Oh, we're in order. Okay, we're going to go order of the numbers. Ladies Auxiliary of Old Bridge Volunteer Fire Department, number 1 at 55 years of service, Joyce Curley.
Thank you, everyone.
You can stand. At 54 years of service, Judy Summer. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You ready for this one? Drum roll. At 60 years of service, Kathy Treat. Again, all of these are over 50 years of service, representing Fire District Number 3, Victor Romatowski.
Way to go, Vic.
Representing Fire District 1, Robert Torek. Thank you. Representing Fire District 2, we have Anthony Alexander. Again, Fire District 2, Dennis DeGraw. Also, Fire District 2, William Burns. Rounding out District Number 2, we have Howard Levine. Thanks, Howard. Absolutely. And finally, District Number 1, Fred Hoover.
Thank you. Can we get all of our honorees up for a photo in front of the dais?
Excuse me, sorry about that, sir.
Council people, please.
All right, excuse me 1 second.
You going in? Let's get a professional. Yeah, come on, get a good one, would you please?
Yeah.
They're gonna have to wait then. Yeah, there we go. When you're done, we can sneak in.
At this time, I'm going to call on Fireman Anthony Alexander to say a few words.
Thank you, President McAvoy. I have to cram 72 years into Greg Gutfeld Cliff Notes with a Sharpie pen and 2 minutes. But on behalf of everyone here tonight, all the members of the Fire Service, Districts 1, 2, and 3, sincere thank you to Mayor Cohen, President McAvoy, and the Township Council for having these proclamations for us this evening. And I got to tell you, 50 years has really flown by, because I remember a lot of the guys to my left, to your right over here, when we had brown hair, blonde hair, black hair, some hair, had hair. It's amazing how time flies, and just to get a little bit of my history out quick, because everybody's got their own little piece of history to offer here tonight. But I go back to the Zelinskys. My mom taught his parents, I believe. Smiths, obviously. There was a farm across the street from my house when I moved into my house on Fern Road some 40-plus years ago. So this used to be called the farms out here, but everybody in this room that served, either in the rescue squad, the fire department, obviously public safety, has had their own little bit of imprint on the town. And let's face it, we're a town of 50,000 people, so it's not a small town anymore the way it was when it was rural. So way back when, our first home, the first place I lived was on Smith Lane. My parents brought me home from St. Peter's Hospital back then, and that was what we called home. Quick move to South River, back to East Brunswick to the farms. And we lived in the Fieldcrest development. So back in 1973, I was in Rutgers commuting because they had a restrictive radius on living there. You couldn't live there and be that close to the school, so I commuted. And there was an old barn in the corner of Ryder's and Dunham's, which obviously was torn down, the sign went up. Firemen needed. Do you want to join? I see Howard back there looking. That's how he found out, too. And we all wound up joining back at that point in time. Some of us still around here. Others have moved away. But everybody here has had some impact on the town, whether it be from an administrative position, a line position, commissioner's position, or a combination of all three, with the public safety in the forefront. And obviously, it worked, because we're still here. Some of us stuck around and made it an avocation as opposed to a vocation, but benefits went to the Township of East Brunswick, the citizens, and everyone here, as I had mentioned earlier, has their own story to tell. Another little tidbit, I see Chief Lasacco back there. The first police chief in town was my grandfather, Frank Warnsdorfer. My mom was a Warnsdorfer. So we go back a few years in town. And other than that, I'd like to thank my wife, Barbara, for putting up with this for 50 years, and my son's taping this. So after 12,000 plus calls and 50 years, got some dinner waiting on the table that I could finish from what we'd left behind. But countless hours of training everybody here puts in, countless hours of maintenance on the vehicles, countless hours of house maintenance. As I said, if they were in positions, they also took up more time. But it's, again, to the benefit for the township, citizens that were sworn to protect, and hopefully this legacy continues. And I thank everybody. Mayor?
Before we let that one go, I do think that it's worth saying that every year around this time, we get third graders from the elementary schools that come up to the township to learn about government. And they actually sitting right where all of you are sitting right now, and they ask really good questions. And one of the things that I always ask them is to tell me what they believe my number one responsibility is as mayor. And I have to tell you, they all get it right. They know that the safety of the people that live in this township is my number one responsibility. Everything else is a far number two. And we are exceptionally lucky because they'll rattle off right away who are those people that are first responders that are out there when we need them at sometimes the most inopportune times. And I remind them every single time that we are so fortunate as a township to have an all-volunteer fire department. That's not the norm any longer. More and more towns can't find people to volunteer, and so they are going to paid firefighters. I believe Monroe is fairly close to being almost all paid now. That's a $4 million price tag to the township of Monroe. And I know I hear all the time people complaining about taxes. I get it. But I think that we owe a debt of gratitude to the people who are here tonight, who are putting their lives on the line to help us at nothing, and who want nothing more than to know that the people around them have gratitude for the time and effort that they put in. And it's a great example to the young people that are here today, that there are people here who have put in that many years. And while the town may be more diverse, it may look a little different than it did 50, 60 years ago. It's no longer the rural town that it might have been when you first came here. That is normal. Towns go through changes and we adapt. We'll be hearing about how we're looking tonight to continue the role of adapting to the future, which is constantly changing. But what I hope never changes is the active interest in participating in being part of our community and doing the right thing. And so for the kids that are here tonight, I applaud you for being such a tremendous example of the right thing to do.
Mayor Cohen, if I may. Mayor, before you have a proclamation recognizing April 2024 as Sikh Appreciation Month. The podium is yours, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Whereas Sikhism is the 5th largest religion in the world, and today there are more than 30 million Sikhs worldwide and more than 500,000 Sikhs in the United States, and where Sikhs have been living in the United States for more than 120 years, and during the early 20th century, thousands of Sikh Americans worked on farms, in lumber mines and mills, on the Oregon, Pacific, and Eastern Railroad. And whereas Sikhism is an Indian religion that originated in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent around the end of the 15th century by Guru Nanak, Sikh means a student, a learner in Punjabi. And whereas Vaisakhi is one of the most historically significant days of the year for Sikhs and is celebrated on April 14th of every year, and whereas the year 2024 marks the 555th birth anniversary of the first 10 gurus and founder of Guru Nanak, and will be celebrated on the 15th of November for Sikhs in the Township of East Brunswick and worldwide as Guru Nanak's Gurpurab, and is one of the most important dates in the Sikh calendar. And whereas one of the core beliefs of Sikhism is Guru Nanak's teaching against discrimination and prejudice due to religion, race, caste, or status. And whereas Sikh Americans pursue diverse professions and make rich contributions to the social, cultural, and economic vibrancy of the United States, including as small business owners, attorneys, first responders, and members of the military, and make significant contributions to our great nation in agriculture, trucking, finance, technology, and more. And whereas Sikh Americans distinguish themselves by fostering respect among all people through faith and service. And whereas the Township of East Brunswick is committed to educating citizens about the world's religions, the value of religious diversity, tolerance grounded in the First Amendment principles, and a culture of mutual understanding and the diminution of violence. And whereas the Township of East Brunswick seeks to further the diversity of its community and afford all residents the opportunity to better understand, recognize, and appreciate the rich history and shared experiences of Sikh Americans. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, along with our Township Council, recognize April 2024 as Sikh Awareness and Heritage Month and urge all residents to celebrate the day of Vaisakhi along with the Sikh community. Given under my hand and the Great Seal of the Township of East Brunswick this 14th day of March in the year 2024. We were all asked tonight to wear something in orange of the recognition, so just want to proudly show everybody that I did wear orange.
Okay, how about, we'll get a photo with council, please?
Did you want to say anything?
First I'm gonna say, and then you're gonna say. You're both gonna hold this? You just stand there for a little bit. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rupreet Davisani Gill, and thank you, Mayor Cohen. Thank you, Council President Kevin McAvoy, Council Vice President Dana Zimbiki, Councilman Dinesh Behal, Councilman Jim Wendell, Councilwoman Dina Winston, Council Calder,
Councilwoman Dana Zibicki.
Dana Zimbiki, I said it, yes. And Attorney Rajkumar. Thank you so much for everyone for making this happen. April was chosen for Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month because it is one of the holiest months of the year for Sikh faith. And that's next month, but today is March 14th, and today is Sikh New Year. Not many people know that. Today is Sikh New Year. The orange color is very important and the holiest color in our culture. Our Nishan Sahib is the flag. That's of this color, Khalsa color. That's what we call. So that's why I requested most of my people here to wear orange color. So we're wearing. The 3 golden rules of the Sikh principles are: remember God in everything you do, earn an honest living, and share your earnings with the less fortunate. A gurdwara is a place of worship and learning for the Sikhs. That's where our Guru Granth Sahib, our eternal Guru, is installed. Visitors of any background are welcome to seek shelter and get a free hot meal any time of the day. Here is a picture of Harmandir Sahib. That's a golden temple in Amritsar, where that's the largest free kitchen, community kitchen in the whole wide world. 200,000 rotis, that's the Indian flatbread that are made. 1.5 tons of dal, that's the lentil soup. And free food is given to 100,000 people every day there for free. No, they don't ask nobody which culture, which background, which caste, which race, nothing at all. Everybody is welcome to come in and have it. Some local gurdwaras are here in Sikh Heritage Center in Monroe, the Shmesh Darbar in Carteret, Sikh Sabha of Lawrenceville, where my husband is the president, and I'm a volunteer teacher there that I teach Sikh religious studies there since past 6 years. People can recognize Sikh mostly by turban for men and long hair for women. When I keep my hair long in a braid, I often get compliments on my long hair, and I take that opportunity to explain who I am and why I have long hair. Most of the people get surprised when I tell them that this is my baby hair. I never cut it, because one of the articles of faith is to have uncut hair. So that's my hair. Hoping that together we can educate more people about this religion. Now I have my son here, Kerman Gill. He would like to say something too. Thank you so much.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Kerman Singh. Thank you for making this proclamation to create awareness about Sikhs. As you know, today is Sikh New Year. On April 8th, 2019, a similar proclamation was issued in East Brunswick, and I spoke. People usually compliment me and say, "What a nice hat," and then I have to explain that it's not a hat. It's a badka on top of my hair bun, or juda. I have long hair that I don't cut because it's in my religion not to cut my hair. I hope by the time I grow up, everyone will know who Sikhs are. Today, almost 5 years later, people still compliment me and call it a hat. Moreover, this year at school sometimes, when I say I'm a Sikh, they mistake me for being sick, or like coughing, or having a disease or something. It recently happened during one of my social studies diversity chapter, where the majority of my classrooms thought I was sick when I said I am a Sikh. There's a difference. I think we need to do more work in educating the people who don't know this. There are multiple ways how American Sikhs are out in the field participating in the greater good of society. My family and I volunteer at soup kitchens serving free meals to the needy with various organizations such as Let's Share a Meal, Elijah's Promise, Eva's Village in Patterson, Salvation Army, Neighborhood Lunger with 6 Above New Jersey, and more. Last weekend, actually, my mom and I volunteered in a meal packaging event called End Hunger 3.6 with my Scout friends at Middlesex College. What's fascinating about Sick Faith is that it advocates justice, protecting the weak, and it is one that is focused on community and community service. I look forward to everyone's support in helping me raise awareness so that 5 years from now I can actually have some good to share news. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do a photo. Council, please, join me in front of the dais. We have 2 more resolutions to recognize, and then we'll take a recess. Skedaddle if you choose to, unless you want to stay and watch Diana.
Mrs. Winston, you're hiding behind this young man. Could you move over a little? Oh, little? Stop this one. Right there. Okay. All right, Council, you have Resolution 24-97, honoring the accomplishments of Ashley Falcon. May I have a motion to approve? Motion. Second? Second. Can I have anyone opposed? Can I hear the ayes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Councilwoman Zambicki, you come to the podium, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be able to present the next 2 awards tonight as a member of the Recreation, Parks, and Advisory Board. Also, as an educator for 36 years in town, the Recreation and Parks Division do so much for the youth of our community. So I thank you so much. So for our first resolution tonight, whereas the Township of East Brunswick takes pride in its employees and encourages them to strive and grow in their knowledge, experience, and profession. And whereas the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Community Services plays a significant role in our community by providing services and programs to improve the quality of life of our residents, especially our youth. Whereas the National Recreation and Parks Association magazine features young professionals 30 years of age and under who have raised the bar in the park and recreation profession due to their extraordinary work in the field. Whereas the Mayor and Township Council would like to recognize Ashley Falcon, Program Coordinator, Youth Community Services, for being a recipient of the National Recreation Parks Association 2024 30 Under 30 Recognition Program. Whereas Ashley has worked for the Township of East Brunswick for the past 10 years and is responsible for supporting Youth Council, which provides programs and services for our teens. Whereas Ashley secured a grant for the Youth Council in the amount of $120,000, which went towards renovating the youth center into a beautiful facility today, and is also facilitated in the receipt of the grant from the Mental Health First Aid Program for Teens to assist teens experiencing mental health challenges in our community. Wow, right? It's a lot. Whereas Ashley is a teen mental health first aid instructor and has trained and certified, ready for this, 125 teens to identify and help others through mental health challenges. Whereas Ashley also oversees yearly food drives and seasonal school supply drives within our community. Whereas Ashley has demonstrated exemplary qualities in her leadership, innovative ideas, enthusiasm to her duties, and most importantly, has made a positive impact on the lives of our residents and is undoubtedly deserving of the NRPA's 30 Under 30 recognition in honor of her dedication to recreation and parks. Whereas, in the words of John Roche, Manager of Recreation, Parks, and Community Services, Ashley is a dedicated and inspiring young professional, and we are very fortunate to have her. She is caring, outgoing, professional, community-driven, engaging, and focused. He couldn't be prouder, right, John? So be it resolved by the Mayor and the Township Council of East Brunswick that hereby extend their sincere and grateful appreciation to Ashley Falcon for years of dedication and outstanding service to the Township of East Brunswick, and for being recognized and awarded the recipient of the National Recreation and Parks Association 2024 30 and Under 30 Recognition Program. And further be resolved that the Mayor and the Township Council applaud Ashley for her growth in her position, providing community service, and for demonstrating exemplary service, leadership, team spirit, and overall being a true top professional who strives to serve as an everyday champion in the East Brunswick community. Congratulations, Ashley.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. Just have a few words here. Good evening. Just a few words and thank yous to some very important people. First, thank you very much. Thank you so much to the National Recreation and Parks Association for giving me this honor. And congratulations to the other 30 under 30 who are also honored in this award. Closer to home, thank you so much to the town council, the mayor, the business admin up here for recognizing me. I truly appreciate it. I've lived in East Brunswick for 25 years of my life. I can't imagine living anywhere else. I'm a true champion of this town, and I love it. And getting to work here and doing what I do every day is truly an honor. And finally, I can't leave here without thanking the Recreation and Parks Department. We have the best department, I think, not only in New Jersey, but in the country as well. John Roche, who's also honored after me, so haha, after this, and Michael Reisner, they're the best directors and mentors I could ask for. And the people I work with every single day in the department, Marissa, Caitlin, Jeff, Nicole, Erica, Kim, Ryan, Ed, Russ, everybody, they're just amazing people, and it really takes a village. and just finally to speak to the youth that I work with. Youth council is truly my passion. I've been doing it since I was a teen volunteer, so being able to lead in this way is really important to me. So yeah, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Council Resolution 24-98, honoring the accomplishments of John Roche. I have a motion.
Motion approved.
Second. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Councilman Zambicki, once again, do you do the honors?
Thank you. Okay, John, don't be nervous. You have to go after Ashley, so you have a lot to live up to here. All right, so whereas the Township of East Brunswick prides itself on providing excellent services to the residents and attributes many of its services to its valuable and stellar employees for their hard work and dedication to ensuring our community is best represented. And whereas the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Community Service plays a significant role in our community by providing services and programs to improve the quality of life of our residents. And whereas the Mayor and Township Council would like to recognize the Recreation Manager and Aquatics Director, John Roche, who was awarded the Professional of the Year Award by the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association. Another wow. Amazing, right? Whereas John Roche is deserving of this recognition and award for his desire to constantly challenge himself, to learn, to grow, and to foster positive, efficient work environment in the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Community Service. And whereas John has worked for the East Brunswick Department of Recreation and Parks and Community Service for 20 years, and throughout his tenure, he quickly achieved status as Certified Park and Recreation Professional, became a Certified Pool Operator, Pool Director, CPRP Instructor, Chair of the NJRPA Aquatic Section, Vice Chair for the World Water Park Association Public Sector Committee, and has recently provided leadership to the NJ Aquatic Safety Committee, to name a few. I think you could do a little better. Whereas during his tenure, John instituted and created a leadership development program for young employees who were given supervisory opportunities within our facility and has positively impacted our water park operation through training, water treatment processes, operational procedures, and introducing When I Work and Hydro apps to efficiently manage the large operation. Whereas he spearheaded arrival of the Youth Council program, which has flourished under his advisory role. And whereas, as certified instructor, he has met and taught hundreds of teens within our community how to identify and help others through mental challenges, and has further become certified to teach adults ways to recognize and assist youth experiencing health challenges. Whereas the Director of Recreation, Parks, and Community Services couldn't be more proud to have an asset like John Roche on his team. In the words of Mike Reisner, John's addition to the team has been a revelation that has changed the dynamics of the Department of Recreation, Community Services, and beyond. He is the most kind, caring human being that he knows. Beyond being an excellent manager who gets the job done and a dynamic leader, John is a humble being, true, who simply wants to leave our community better than he found it 20 years ago, and indeed he has. Be it resolved by the Mayor and the Township of East Brunswick, the Township Council of East Brunswick, that they hereby extend their sincere and grateful appreciation to John for 20 years of dedication and outstanding service to the Township of East Brunswick, and for being recognized and awarded the Professional of the Year Award by the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association. And I'm almost done. Be it further resolved that the mayor and the Township Council applaud John for his personal and academic growth in his position and for demonstrating exemplary characteristics as a township employee through his work ethics, dedication, leadership, team spirit, and overall being a true professional of the Township of East Brunswick. Congratulations, John.
Thank you very much. Thank you. When we were down in Atlantic City at our conference, I told them that I was going to do a 4-hour speech, and the council has asked me to not go that long, so I promise I won't. I want to thank the mayor and his administration and the town council for being recognized tonight. I never thought that I would be recognized as Professional of the Year because I just like to show up to work. And there's so many people that I can thank. I have one of the best departments to work for. Mike Reisner, our director, goes above and beyond to make sure that each of us who works with him and for him has the opportunity to grow professionally, to go out and do all of the things that he might not be able to do, but he says, you go do it. Oh, you want to help with the World Water Park? Go for it. So I'm grateful to him and to all of my colleagues in Recreation and Parks for all they do. My Crystal Springs family who's here tonight, supporting and representing, I appreciate you and the work that you do every day to make our water park operate. I want to end with a quote from Parks and Rec, which is what most of my speech down in Atlantic City talked about, and I'm going to end with this. We have to remember what's important in life, and it comes down to friends, waffles, and work. Or actually, it could be waffle, friends, work. Either way, work is third. But I'm grateful to be here and to work for East Brunswick to help make the lives of our residents better. Thank you so much.
Council, please. Photo up.
Could you move? I think I cut 1 year off the previous. I don't want to do that again. Big job. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You know I appreciate you.
I know that we were going to take a little bit of a break, and so those that really need to get home can do so. But I also wanted to point out that for those that would actually like to stay and continuing on the theme of a town that needs to adapt as we move to the future, there will be a presentation this evening from the two of the developers, Mr. Ed Russo and my good friend Warren Waters, on the project that's going to be going on Route 18. And I'm really happy that they were actually here tonight to hear all of this before they spoke. Because when you come into a town like East Brunswick, you need to see that you're coming into a community. And we want to build and continue that same theme, even though we need to adapt it to a future time and to be relevant as we move forward. But you have seen the volunteerism, you've seen the diversity, you've seen the way our government works, the way we all come together. Even it's a town of 50,000, but it's still a community. And no matter what we do going forward, we just don't ever want to lose that. So if you could stay, that would be great. I do thank everybody for coming out here this evening. This was really an important thing for us to do this evening and to give recognition to all those who really deserved it. So thank you.
And I'll just want to leave you with how this all started. This began as a conversation with John Cossack. Is John outside? Chief, would you mind telling John to poke his head in here? At the various New Year's Eve holiday part. There's John. Each one of the firehouses invited the entire council to, we'll call it the holiday celebration, and we really appreciate that. And then the conversations just began, and John was telling me how the fire people have never been recognized. I said, come on. What do you mean? After 20 years, they didn't do something? No. Oh, then 25-year mark? No. So you're getting my point. It took the township 50 years to figure out that we want to recognize you for all the work you do, for all the volunteer work you do in keeping our community safe. And then from John, it went to the mayor's office, and then the three of us got it all going, and this is what came out. And it's just a credit to everybody. Really appreciate it. We'll take a brief recess, okay?
Is this someone's cell phone?
Yes, definitely.
That would help.
So let's move on to our presentation portion of our meeting. Here with us this evening is... So we'll try that again? Let's move on to the presentation part of our meeting. With us this evening is a town favorite from a couple of years ago. I do believe Mr. Hughes is still, yes, Mr. Hughes. The project redeveloper, Mr. Edward Russo, for the Route 18 corridor redevelopment project. Mr. Hughes, the podium is yours.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. The redevelopment process is by design and maybe somewhat frustratingly so a long process, but there is a reason. There's market conditions, there's the economy, but also stakeholder engagement and listening to those voices in the community, those voices on our land use boards and our governing body. They're all important and they all make a difference. And I don't want to take too long up here and take any of the thunder from our redevelopers, but I just want to set the stage for a second. What you have in front of you this evening and what has been approved to send to you from the Planning Board and the Redevelopment Agency is the final version and really the overarching document for what this redevelopment project on Route 18 will be and what will look like. So everything you're about to see in the visuals, on the nice boards that these folks have, and the aerials that you're going to see on the screen is right in front of you in the amended redevelopment plan as words on paper. You know, it's not a bait and switch. This isn't a Michelangelo on the screen that's going to look like a Jackson Pollock when it gets in the ground. This is a realistic representation of what redevelopment will be here in East Brunswick. So I just want to run through a few highlights and top lines, 30 seconds here, and then I'll pass the mic over. But what you have in your redevelopment plan that's in front of you, that document will end up lowering the overall density of housing within the redevelopment area. The original redevelopment plan that this council adopted and has been put into use had originally 1,280 units of housing on it. What you have in front of you today is 753. So you have 535 apartments and 218 townhomes, also a new component here. That's a for sale product because we realize that there is not only a market, but there's a desire for a for sale product here in the community. So some of the changes you'll see as well, it adds descriptions of the townhomes to ensure that there's consistency with the concept plans that you're going to see before you this evening. We've updated the lots and blocks to better reflect those concept drawings that you're going to see. We've added clarity to the hotel that we're looking to attract to the site, ensuring that we are best equipped to attract an upscale luxury property. We spell out and indicate that the first floor of that hotel can be used for retail or restaurant uses. We've changed some setbacks to better market some of the properties, including a potential grocer. And we've also removed the public parking commuter deck and contemplated a land swap for additional restaurant space within the redevelopment area that'll be on land that's owned by the township. Those are a few of the highlights, and honestly, words, both verbal and that you see in front of you in the amended redevelopment plan don't truly do it all justice. So I'm going to pass the presentation now over to our redevelopers, Ed Russo and Warren Waters, as well as the Director of Planning at the firm, Diogo, and they'll be able to run through the entire project with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to the governing body for giving us an opportunity to present tonight. We some tough acts to follow and very impressive. So we feel we're going to do our best to live up to how the night started. 50 years of service for the fire department is hard to imagine. We have a volunteer fire department in our town, but we're 3,000 residents, not 5,000 residents. So that's pretty impressive. We wanted to just very quickly, more important than anything, give you an update on what's currently in progress on the Phase 1 portion of the redevelopment area. We wanted to take you through some photographs that we have over that cover the last 6 or 7 months since demolition work and some of the earthwork, infrastructure remediation that's been ongoing. We wanted to take you through, very quickly, some graphics that we have for the proposed development. We have a number of renderings of the proposed buildings. There's been a lot of work recently with Mike Hughes and the redevelopment agency and the town's professionals on an open space that's going to be built as part of the early phases of the project, and we have some new graphics that haven't yet been presented that we wanted to share. And then we would quickly take you through our master plan, not just for the first phase, but also the future phases. As Mike referred to, the plan has evolved quite a bit over the last couple years. There's been a significant reduction in the number of housing units that are proposed, and that housing's been replaced with a variety of other uses, hotel, restaurants, other commercial uses, hopefully a grocer, and a mix of smaller format retail spaces. So I can quickly take you through that as well. Just to kick it off, we've got some drone photographs that this first one, this is a view looking down Route 18 towards the south. The property that you see in the foreground with the Stir building footprint was the old Route 18 Plaza, the Zacon Realty site. That property comprised about 8 acres. I'm gonna walk over here if that's okay. This part of the site, where you can see demolition was completed on an old strip center, was about 8 of the 12 acres in Phase 1 of the redevelopment area. There are 3 other parcels that also comprise that initial 12-acre parcel, which our first mixed-use building covers. The Zacon property was acquired in the middle of 2022, shortly after there was litigation that was involved, the designation of the property as a redevelopment area, and that litigation was ultimately resolved in the early part of 22, which opened up our ability to start acquiring sites from the various property owners within the redevelopment area. That Zacon Realty property was really the core of Phase 1, given its size. We were able to acquire it relatively quickly after the litigation was settled. The remaining properties, which included an old Office Depot on Lake Avenue and then 2 smaller retail buildings on the corner of Route 18 and Lake, were contracted for later. Office Depot, we successfully closed on in August of last year. This photo in September, you can see we had already started to demo a portion of the building. And Diogo, if you flip through, this was another demo photo. Keep going. All right, one more. Right, so
Go
here.
back one if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
Sure. So do you have the 2 buildings that are to the left of the building that's being demoed?
We do, the flooring
have
store
them.
and also, well, we have them under contract. We've had the flooring store under contract for almost a year, and the Gator Liquidators store, the Joel Tracy property, for probably 5 or 6 months. It was a longer process to get
Yeah,
them.
we heard the numbers were ridiculous, what they wanted versus.
Well, we
What really
ended
should
up
happen?
paying, we tried hard to avoid a situation where we couldn't get title and couldn't reach agreement with each of the property owners in, arm's length negotiation. We didn't want to have to come to the township and say, look, like, we can't get these properties, can you help us? So in each of the 4 acquisitions, in the case of Zacon Realty, in the case of Office Depot, and the 2 corner properties, we did pay more than what the appraised values for the properties
got
were.
them.
But we did that to, for a reason. We did it
Yes.
to avoid having,
Can't have that
property
eyesore
owners that
there.
were unhappy, right?
Good.
And the 2 corner property owners, I must say, there's a reason why it took longer to come under contract with them. They were, unlike Zacon and Office Depot, which were vacant for many years, the 2 corner properties were, and still are today, occupied. So to give them adequate time to, in the case of Gator Liquidators, find an alternative location, in particular, there was some give and take with them. And they tried to be cooperative, and I think at the end of the day, we got to a point where everyone was satisfied, and I'm happy to report we plan to close on both of those properties within the next 30 days.
Great.
So I think we're in great shape in terms of the property assemblage. This is a slightly more recent photo. This was taken in November of 2023. By here, you could see the Office Depot building had been fully demolished. Most of the foundations for the Zacon property were not only, demoed, but removed off-site. This disturbance that you see here, this is actually soil remediation that was done by Office Depot for contamination that related to a gas station many years ago on the property. For as hard as it was to get Office Depot to engage with us and ultimately make a deal, it was a struggle. As Mike Hughes could tell you, he was along for the ride with us. I do have to say that shortly after we closed, they did mobilize very quickly to clean up this area that they knew they were responsible for. So that was really a big help to us. We were concerned. This was not an insignificant cleanup. It was close to $1 million in soil remediation and off-site disposal. We were concerned that this was going to drag, especially since they didn't want to do the cleanup until after we purchased the property. But they did move quickly, and that's now done. Yeah, this is just a zoomed-in view of the work that they were doing. Okay, so this image was taken a couple months later. This is early February. By here, you could see the rest of the demo had been completed. We had started to mobilize, it's a little hard to see, but drainage pipe and structures on the site. Go a little bit further, Diogo. Okay, and then this was taken just this week. So here you can see all asphalt, all site lighting, fully milled and removed from the site. We've started putting drainage infrastructure in. We've mobilized a lot of our utility crews and work. And we anticipate continuing with work through the spring and the summer, not just demolishing and abating the 2 corner properties, which shortly after closing, we will mobilize very quickly to abate the buildings, right? Abate meaning remove asbestos, cut utilities, get them knocked down. Our access drive off of Lake actually runs through the back of the 2 corner properties. So that's going to open up some additional utility work that we can do. And the combination of having those properties and us being able to push earthwork on the balance of the site is going to put us in a great position to be able to start vertical construction in the fall. Go ahead.
I was waiting for that one.
That was the big one, right?
That date.
And the importance to doing that is we ideally want to open our first building in the spring season, right? The first building is 307 apartments with about 30,000 square feet of retail space. It was approved by the planning board last year. It's fully designed, full construction documents done. We're about 50% through the procurement process, meaning bidding and awarding a lot of the major trades for the building. And the ideal time of the year to lease apartments is in the early spring through summer, right? The late fall and the winter is the slowest time of the year. And what we try to do when we're starting construction is make sure that we're starting at a time when, given the duration of building, we can open at the right time of year. So by starting in the fall here, it puts us in a good position where by the spring of 2026, it's about a 18 to 20 month build. We can open and not be carrying a building and in a slow leasing time. And there are still some things that have to be done before we can start vertical construction, and we've been, socializing those things with Michael and the town's team. But we do feel good now that, the pieces are in place for us to really proceed vertically here. Okay, we're going to just take you through some really quick renderings of what's being proposed. These are just more site photos. That's your crusher, I guess? Yes, it is. Okay, so actually, Diogo, go back one sheet. So this view, of all the renderings we have, this is probably our favorite because this is the most visible elevation of the building. This is what you're going to see when you're on Route 18 South and you're entering from the main entrance. And the beauty of this project, even though it has a lot of different phases, the first building and the first phase is really the most impressive building that's being built in the entire redevelopment area. It's the largest, it's the most visible, it has a significant amount of retail space planned in it, and this is what's going to create, hopefully, the excitement and the wow factor that'll be the impetus for all the future phases. So we're starting with the best and the biggest, and once that phase is built and goes, we think it's really going to create the momentum for, to help the future phases. And this is really what tells the story as you enter the site. So we're gonna, we have a lot of different renderings in the handout. I'm just going to touch through, a few of the more significant ones, right? We have a very extensive amenity scope in this building. Our goal when designing this was to have, one of, if not the nicest mixed-use buildings in this part of Middlesex County. And I don't want to say like we're going to be the best because there's always somebody that can, do it better, and we're always raising the bar to, continue to improve. But we spend a lot of time studying how we can improve our designs from project to project. We spend a lot of time studying what other developers are building, and our goal is to build the best. Right? This project from day one was never conceived to just be another apartment community or another retail community. Right? I think the vision that East Brunswick laid out many years ago was we want something different here. We want something that is going to be unique, and we have, and I know Warren feels this way, we feel a personal obligation to deliver something that's of a very high quality. And the one thing that I would ask you to take away as you look at our renderings, you can flip through Diogo, is when you look at the building facades, when you look at the design of the open spaces, if you dig into our floor plans, you look at the size of the units, you look at how the buildings are laid out, everything about what we've designed here is meant to say quality. It's a very competitive market. Stop right here for a second. This is a great ground level rendering that shows our retail space. There's a lot of product being built. There's a lot of competition, no matter what township you're in. And, we want to make sure we can build something that'll stand the test of time and be competitive well into the future. That comes at a cost, but when you're, when you're long-term oriented, like we are in terms of we try to build things that we can own and make a return on over an extended period of time, not just day one, you can justify doing things that you don't see on, every other mixed-use development.
If I may. One of the reasons the redevelopment agency looked towards River and Russo was because of the long-term. Your mic's off, Councilman.
Your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the reasons the redevelopment agency and the township looked to partner with Russo and River Development was because of the long-term hold position that is had by this group. And we honestly look at it as a partnership, and we're proud to have someone who wants to be a partner with the town for a long term,
We appreciate you saying that, and we feel a personal obligation to deliver here. I mean, this is a very important project for us, not just because we have a, significant financial investment in it, but, the thing that I think distinguishes our company and has for a number of years is we try to be the best we can and deliver projects in communities that, want what we're proposing. Like we're we're very careful to build in places where we think we can be successful, and we got a good glimpse tonight of what type of community East Brunswick is, and we want to be a part of it, and we want to do the right thing here. And that doesn't just mean building nice buildings. It means, being a good neighbor, having open space, being sensitive to the township's concerns, and we've heard a number of them in the couple years that we've been working on this. So there's a lot that we're trying to balance here. So just a couple of quick more renderings. A lot of these are street level as you enter the site. If you keep going, this is wrapping around our proposed Building A, some of the ground floor retail. This is an overhead view of the park that I made reference to before. This was actually a relatively recent change in the plan. We had additional circulation that ran through this area that we realized really wasn't necessary given all the different access points that we have coming into the site. And, this was something that was actually noted by the town's professionals. They said, look, we would like to have a bigger open space that's visible from the highway, that has surface parking that not just residents, can use to get access, right? People that can come in from the public, park, go to the retail, which is just off the plan to the north here, and have an open space that can be enjoyed. We worked with our landscape architect, Malolo and Bauer. They came up with a number of different concepts. We eliminated a roadway that created more room to expand the park, and I think they've come up with something really creative. And if we keep flipping through, you can see some ground level images that show aspects of this park. A lot of seating areas, a lot of change in elevation, which is challenging in a way, right? It's always easy to work when you have a flat site. But the fact that there's some good grade change across this property also creates opportunity for amphitheater seating, retaining walls that can be a little bit decorative as you walk through the park. Yep, this gives you a nice view looking back, close to where the jug handle is on Route 18, looking back towards Building B, which is our second proposed building, and then Building A on the left, which is the one that we're starting with. Another rendering of the park. Yep, just another view. This is actually a dog park. We have enough room here where we can do a small dog and large dog park, which we're seeing in bigger communities like this. We try to be pet friendly because so many residents today, do have pets. That having amenities that are geared towards pets are important. And apparently, big dogs don't always play good with small dogs, so we usually have more than one dog park for that reason. And then this is just a more polished rendering of some of the views we were looking at before, where you can see this building, which we're actually getting close to submitting a site plan application to the planning board. This amended redevelopment plan was creating part of the impetus to accommodate the second building. So we've already done a lot of design in anticipation of the amendment getting adopted and us being able to go back to the planning board. Even though we aren't building the buildings at the same time, right? Building A is going first, which is 307 units. Building B, which is 243 units, is coming second. Having them both designed, given that there's so much overlap between the infrastructure and the access, was really, we thought was important. And the park design is included in this new site plan application that we're submitting. Okay, so our master plan. I know that the governing body has seen this a number of times in the past, so we'll present it very quickly, but just to highlight a few of the changes that Mike made reference to. This is just an aerial that shows all the different parcels in the redevelopment area. The parcels on the right-hand side of the aerial are the ones that we were talking about before, right? This is all phase one. So you got the old Zacon Realty Strip Center, which has now been demolished, Office Depot, and then the two corner properties, right? Those four parcels are where Building A sit. Building B sits in this area in the rear of the site. And then everything that you see from here to the left, the old Loman's Plaza, a couple of the properties along Route 18, the Gulf Station, the office buildings that are owned by Tongbu, the small corner property that's owned by the Township. This is all part of the future phases.
No timeline on that.
I could tell you that the next phase to go beyond construction of Building B, and there's a possibility there could be some overlap with this next phase and construction of Building B, would be this portion of the site, so where the former Loman's Plaza is located. And we're in active discussions and negotiations with the property owner for that site, and we're hopeful that we're going to reach an agreement, hopefully soon, that would at least put us in a position where we could finalize our design, go before the planning board, start getting our land use approvals. They have some tenants in occupancy that, ultimately, to allow redevelopment, are going to need to vacate. So we're trying hard to get to a point where we have a better time frame on when the Loman's Plaza redevelopment could start. But it's a high priority that we're actively working on. This is just a quick overview of our master plan. Building A is our 5-story mixed-use building. We did get approval for a small retail pad at the planning board, which is not planned to be built day one. We want to make sure that by building this building, we don't reduce the visibility or impede the ability of these ground floor retail spaces facing Route 18 to be leased. So our feeling is we should build Building A, make sure that we can fill the retail, make sure that we have adequate surface parking to serve that retail. All of the residential parking is below the building, right? We have 2 levels of covered parking, one in a basement level, one in a at-grade level. If we can lease this retail and we still feel like we have adequate parking left to accommodate a corner retail building, we would build that building. But we want to make sure we don't put the cart before the horse. This is our second building, Building B, which will be coming into the planning board on soon. All of these smaller buildings that you see on this side of the site, these are all lower density, carriage home, townhome type buildings. We wanted to be careful not to just fill the site with housing and have all the same type of product, right? For a community this size, having a variety of housing is very important. Otherwise, we start to compete with ourselves, or we start to create too much saturation of one type of product. East Brunswick, for a lot of different reasons, right? Some of them we heard tonight, but you know better than me the reputation that the East Brunswick school system has. It's a very attractive place, I think, for people that don't necessarily want to rent. They want to own a home. And we wanted to be able to accommodate that type of housing for that group of potential residents. And that's what the bulk of what's being proposed in the future phases would be. Once we get to the highway frontage, it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate to have housing right up on the highway. Earlier versions of the redevelopment plan actually showed mixed-use buildings, partially set back from 18, but closer than we're currently proposing. We've replaced those buildings with a variety of either small retail buildings, right? These are 2 potential restaurants on a parcel that might ultimately be owned by the township, right? This was the land swap that Mike Hughes made reference to. It's very likely that the township is ultimately going to own this parcel, and it's currently planning, which could change, several food restaurant uses for that site. We have a building that could accommodate larger format retail, like a grocer, for example, planned, another smaller retail pad, and then on the corner of Ruth Street and Route 18, on a parcel that the township currently owns, where the former transportation center was planned, that's now being planned for a hotel. Of all the elements in our master plan, the ones that have the most uncertainty in terms of like who's going to be there and what's the right use are really all the uses on Route 18, because those are all tenant driven, right? The housing, we feel pretty confident that the plan that we've laid out is ultimately what would ultimately get built. Along Route 18, we want to be flexible to make sure that if there's good commercial uses that are in the market, maybe there's a medical office use that would take one of the retail pads, we want to be able to accommodate those uses and not just be rigid and say, no, these are the only things that we think belong here. So I'm going to stop there for a second just because I've been talking a lot. Does anybody have any questions on what we've presented so far? Okay. Oh, sorry. Sure.
Come up to the podium.
Okay, all right.
Can we get her a mic?
Sure, here you go, take this.
My name is Raluca Negre. Thank you to the council for allowing us to have this open presentation. Two questions. One, if you are thinking about the noise, you're going to be right by Old Bridge Turnpike, and I expect a lot of noise, of course, pollution and other things. This is one main concern. Considering that we are converting a commercial property to a residential property, right? We are repurposing the use of that lot. And the second question will be schools allocation. We are already 3 apartment complexes right next to that lot. It's Lake Estates, Cross Point, and Kingswood Apartments. And all our children are allocated to Memorial School, and I can tell you, every year more than 500 students. And my children were in classes with more than 20 students per one teacher, sometimes 2 teachers. So the ratio for one teacher is more than 15 students, right?
I'm sorry, both valid points, but so with respect to noise, and just from a township perspective, I'll answer that from the land use rules. All of the plans that are outlined here go before a land use board, so things like noise, things like traffic, things like parking are all addressed in the land use process, whether it be at the planning or zoning boards. In these cases, they go before the planning boards. There are hearings, they're open to the public, and you could take those concerns there, but those are all part of the land use process that gets dealt with at that point. With respect to the schools, without speaking for council president or the mayor, I know that the administration works very closely with the East Brunswick Public Schools to ensure that not only are they aware of plans, but that there are contingency plans involved, as well as making sure that there is adequate capacity in the schools, of which I believe we are assured that there are. So, and I don't think Memorial is necessarily the school that these folks would be going to anyway, but when you're talking about the unit mix here, which is up on the screen at the very top, and I know you can't see from your angle, when we're talking about the multifamily buildings here, we're talking overwhelmingly studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. Part of the analysis that is done is we look at apartments all over the state, how many kids are brought into those specific square footage and unit styles. We don't expect there to be an influx of hundreds and hundreds of kids resulting from this, but both really good points, and we do take them seriously and address them. Thank you.
And one follow-up point with respect to noise, there's 3 or 4 mistakes that are unfixable that we could make as residential builders that we can't afford to do. And one of them is we build a building and we don't have good property management and residents feel like they're not being serviced. That's a huge problem. 2, we build a project and we can't rent it for a price that people in the community think is, are willing to pay. And the third is noise. If we do a lot of transit-oriented development near train stations, we've built on close to state highways before, throughout Middlesex County, Union County, other areas. If you have a noise problem, it's extremely difficult to fix. So we try to design our buildings so that windows, for example, which are a weak point on the facades, we use very high, what's called SDC-rated glass, so that if we're close to a rail line, if we're close to a highway, if we're close to, we have buildings that are close to, manufacturing or industrial, we've put the thought and effort into the design of the building so we're not creating an issue. But as Mike said, we'll be back before the planning board many times in the future, and we're happy to get more technical in terms of addressing questions. Okay, Diogo. You know what? I'm not going to go through more of the master plan. We have tons of other, floor plans and, parking level plans, amenity plans, but we just wanted to give you a good overview of the latest concept and particularly the early phases.
Right, you did not come here with a radical change in the plan.
That's correct. I would say that is particularly for the first two buildings. I mean, Warren Waters can speak to this. He was here in 2019, 20, when the 2018, when the original concepts that Warren had prepared, working with Malone Bauer, were presented. The shape, if you go back to those earliest plans, the shape of the buildings that we're proposing are pretty similar to what was planned there. The major changes really occurred on the northernmost part of the redevelopment. That's where a lot of the additional housing that was proposed was removed, and a lot more focus was put on the, the commercial spaces. We're out of juice? That's okay.
Please.
Mr. Russo, Mr. Waters, I know you've both been working diligently for the past several years with the redevelopment agency and the township, and what is being presented here tonight and what we're looking to vote on tonight is not a radical change to the plan. It's actually an advantageous change as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we're lowering the density, we're still creating the community that we wanted to create from the beginning, and as the chairman of the redevelopment agency, I mean, I urge everyone to review this and look at it as a positive change to the plan, not a change that is being in any way deleterious or anything to the original plan. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate all your time.
Mr. President, if I may?
Please.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't need the mic yet. I feel like that there's a certain part of this that isn't business, that isn't dollars and cents, although all of that's part of it. When the mayor and the redevelopment agency conceived this area as a area in need of redevelopment and went through everything that had to get done, it was opened up to every developer in the state had an opportunity to come into East Brunswick and offer their vision of what they wanted to do here. But the reality is there was a major lawsuit, and no one was willing to risk. People much smarter than me were not willing to risk coming in and putting themselves on the line publicly, financially, and everything else. And I'll never forget this night that the case was settled, and I lived with it for 12 months. Some nights I didn't sleep so well. And it was a watershed moment, primarily because my papa passed away. It was the night that he passed away that I got a phone call from one of our attorneys saying that the judge had settled the lawsuit. So it was very emotional. There was a lot to it. And it was at that time, within a week or two, that I had reached out for Ed, and I said, Ed, I think we're through the worst of this. I'd like us to join together and move forward and make this something. And from that point, we have never stopped. We have dug in, and we've done everything we have to do. So doing this, while it's important for all the reasons we saw here tonight, for me is a personal issue. And not only are there tens of millions of dollars in the project, but you can bet, as sure as I'm standing here, when that building comes out of the ground, it'll be the best thing that the municipality has right now. It'll be owned for generations. It'll be managed in a way where you can eat off the parking lot. Thank you.
As I say, having been in the residential real estate business for my whole life, and especially with rentals, and I know the way Ed and Mr. Waters run their properties, it's opening day every day. So, the property's always going to look stunning. So thank you guys for your presentation tonight from my perspective and from the redevelopment agency's perspective.
Please.
I just have to say thank you. I think this is a very advantageous plan. We're down 527 units, which I think is good for the community. But I think what you did in placement of that was awesome. I love the land swap idea. I love the green space that you created. It seems like a community inside of our community. And I love the fact that not just the people that live there can take advantage of it, but everybody in East Brunswick can come in and use that. So I think it's a great improvement. Not that the original wasn't, but this I'm really happy with. So thank you.
Mayor Cohen?
Well, just, again, I want to thank both of you for coming out here again and explaining to the public and to this council what it is that we're trying to do. And we all have to learn to adapt, and sometimes we get hit with things that make us have to rethink, and I think COVID was one of them. While we were sitting waiting for the answer for the judge on that lawsuit, which ultimately, thankfully, came in favor of the township. But I think that after COVID, we realized the importance of having green space and the ability for the communities to interact. We, as a community, had one of the positive benefits out of COVID was that people got out of their houses and found the importance of open space. I think that it also allowed us to recognize that maybe retail has a shot. If people are going to be working remotely or if they're going to be working in a hybrid work schedule, there's going to be a lot of people that are not necessarily taking a bus or a train and going into the city. So there are people living there all day long that may utilize some of the space that I know developers just are so skittish about building. And I think that the idea of creating community within a community has always been important to us. If you look at what's going on with the affordable housing the third round that started in 2015-16, a lot of the buildings that really were being built throughout the state we're first starting to see now, right? You look how long this took, and developers just don't we're not genies, they're not able to build this overnight. So all I hear from residents and people that live in the state as they drive up and down the major highways, oh, another apartment, another town, they don't understand that this was decided back in 2015, and we're just first starting to see many of these now. And my biggest pet peeve about them is they all look the same. And someday we're all going to be looking back at the 2020 when these things started going up and saying, oh, that was built in 2020. They all, nothing, you can't distinguish them. We never wanted that to be what we did on Route 18. We said that from day one. And I think and from what we understand of your reputation is that your buildings turn out pretty darn close to what the renderings were. And so if that's what we're going to expect to see as you come off of Route 18, I think it will make a statement and it will stand the test of time. And that's exactly what we're hoping to do. And we're hoping that in doing that, it allows other retail establishments that are on this corridor to say, you know what, we've just significantly upped the baseline. And it forces upward mobility and an opportunity for those companies to invest in their own properties as well. So it's a snowball, but the snowball takes time to get moving, but when it does, it will roll down the rest of the highway. And this is the beginning of that process. We've always seen that. I think the residents now have a better picture with actual pictures, and I look forward, like the rest of us, to actually see it start to come out of the ground and really happen. So I thank you.
Ed, Warren, any final comments?
Thank you again for, I know we've been before the redevelopment agency recently, but it's been a long time since we've been before the full governing body. We know you had a busy night tonight, we appreciate you making time for us. And we promise to not only deliver on what was, presented, but also to be back and to make sure that we continue to keep you updated on our progress.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our reports section of the meeting. If you need to, you may fold it up while we govern. And we'll begin with our mayor, Mayor Cohen, report.
I know this is going to shock you all, but I think I've said a lot tonight already, so I really don't have a report.
Okay. Our administrator, Mr. Crisculo.
Nothing this evening.
Our attorney, Mr. Goomer.
Nothing to report.
Our township clerk.
I just want to remind residents to please renew your animal licenses. All animal licenses must be renewed by April 1st. Failure to do so will result in the assessment of a late fee. Thank you.
And Ms. Lawful, will you read our public comment statement as we move into the public portion of our meeting.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council. The council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his or her discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or ask the administration to respond.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to address the council president? Sir, in the back?
Tom Ingrasani, Deerfield Road. Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, Council, I don't think I like that plan at all. First of all, he never said how much the apartments would run for a one-bedroom and a two-bedroom apartment, all right? Where is it going to be off anyway? There's apartments being built now. Are they rented? The Golden Triangle's not even filled up yet. The next question is, will it save us taxes? I personally don't think so, because you're going to need more schools, more schoolroom, more teachers, more fire department, more police department. Unless this guy could prove that it's going to make money, I mean, if you charge $2,500 for a one-bedroom apartment, who's going to afford it? Where are they going to work? That's a lot of money. You can rent the house for that much. So I personally feel that you better think about that. I didn't come here to say that, okay? I came here to ask you if the mall is going to be under construction by putting apartments on the top. I'm hearing rumors of that. Does anybody know about that?
Yes, rumors.
Rumors, okay.
Rumors.
Because people are closing up shops saying, oh, Macy's is moving out. They're going to build apartments above the mall.
Rumors.
Okay, great, that's what I want to hear. The other thing I want to bring up is, about 4 meetings ago, I brought up about the radiation given off on electric vehicle charging stations. I called that person that was told to call, and never returned my call. I called back again and said, what do you want me to do about it? I says, check it out. How am I going to do that? So you get a Geiger counter, you're the EPA guy, check it out. I called him again Monday, still hasn't returned my call. So somebody has to get to this guy, okay? His name is Mickey Gross, I believe, right? And get an answer. I'm tired of calling him. Either, let us know if it's true or not. And the other thing is, okay, with the big garbage pails coming out now, I see they're being delivered. What happens if you have to overfill one? Could you put another pail next to it?
No.
Okay, that's all I want to know. I see they're being delivered now. It looks big enough, but, and basically, I don't know, I don't want to see our taxes go up anymore. Because when I came here, it was $3,600. Now I'm $14,000. So take it from there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Ingrasani. Anyone else wishing to address the council president? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. And finally, we have an ordinance for introduction. I'm sorry? We didn't do consent. Sure, let's move to I'm just turning the wrong page, to our consent agenda, which, does anyone need anything separated? Removing 101. Thank you, Councilman Wendell.
I'll make a motion for 2499, 24100, and 24102 to 24107.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
Council President McAvoy?
Yes. We have an ordinance for introduction. Township Clerk, can you read ordinance 24-04?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick adopting an amended Route 18 corridor redevelopment plan dated November 2023 in accordance with NJSA 40A:12A-7.
Mr. Crisculo, any clarification on this?
This is the ordinance to adopt the changes that were just presented to you by the developer.
May I have a motion? Motion approved. Second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
Council President McAvoy?
Yes. For the good of the cause? Mayor?
I just want to clear the air on some of the questions that were brought up tonight. First of all, the occupancies on some of the apartments that have already been built in town exceed 80 to 90%, so they are occupied. Kensington is is a little over 90% occupied. The one on the corner of Summer Hill and Old Stage Road is also about 90% occupied. So evidently, people are paying the rents that are being asked because their demand is still there, which is fortunate. And that's why we continue to try to upgrade the properties that we have in town and redevelop them in a manner that provides for us a tax base that's greater than what would be if you left it alone. If you left those properties alone and did nothing, you are collecting right now about $1.5 million, and all of those property owners had tax appeals into the township because they were taxed as if it was 100% occupied, which is how many of those retail establishments are taxed. And they would win every one of those lawsuits because we all know that they are not 100% occupied, so they would be contributing less to the township if you did absolutely nothing, on top of the fact that it is a reducing property values for those that are around it, and it is a source of crime. There's also a lot of places that the trucks have just been staying overnight, so you can't leave it the way it is, and your taxes would actually go up if you did nothing, because what you would be no longer getting in property taxes from those property owners would have to be paid up by the rest of us. So if you did nothing, your property taxes go up. If you do something and create a much more vibrant, usable, commercial/residential, mixed-use type of community, the value on that property is significantly higher, and the taxes that would be coming into the township go up. So doing nothing brings your taxes up. Doing something brings more taxes to the township. The design of which is to try to stabilize taxes. No one has ever promised from this dais that we're reducing taxes, but I can promise you they will go up if you do nothing. As far as the schools are concerned, the entire developments of all projects throughout the town that have been proposed have been evaluated by the schools because they provided their own demographic study as they look for their strategic needs going forward. They've put out a significant sum of money looking at the effect that the town's development plans would have on the school system, and the estimates from their own studies was that it would bring in an additional, over the course of the time that all of these things would be built, they would not be built overnight. The estimate from their professionals was 479 new students over the course of time that all those buildings go up. The school capacity as it stands right now is 9,500, and the last enrollment in our public school systems, that's public data, is 8,200. So an extra 400 students is not going to make an impact on the effect of the need for any new schools. If there's a need for a new school or an addition or a renovation, it's because of the conditions of the schools. It has nothing to do with any estimated redevelopment students that would come into the town from all projects together, not just this one alone. And then finally, like I said earlier, the taxes, if you do nothing, I have to emphasize that, go up for all of us, because they all of these empty properties, including the one that Legacy was built on Tice's Lane, was on property that was not, it was vacant. And they all had tax appeals that were in the township, and they would win every one of them. So we would owe them money back for all the years that they were not fully occupied. Their new tax rate would be lower, And since our expenses don't go down, the difference would be paid up by you.
East Brunswick Public Library has its Makers Day Friday and Saturday from 10 till 5 p.m. throughout the library. That would be on March 15th and 16th. Displays and demonstrations, community activities for the entire family. East Brunswick PBA and SOA Easter Egg Hunt at the Community Arts Center, noon until 2 p.m. on Saturday, March 23rd. East Brunswick Baseball Little League Opening Day Parade, 8:30 a.m., Crystal Springs, Saturday, April 13th. EB Park and Rec on Saturday, April 13th, from 8 a.m. till 11 a.m. while supplies last. You can pick up pre-packaged bundles of free trees, seedlings. For more, if you're interested, visit arborday.org or make a contact at 380 Dunham's Corner Road regarding Crystal Springs Family Water Park. Sunday, April 14th, 11 to 3, Community Arts Center Fly a Kite Day and the Color Run. Tuesday, April 16th, 7 p.m., Community Arts Center Mayor's Volunteer Thank You Event, members of all committees, commissions, boards who serve the public. April 20th, to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., East Brunswick Friends of Park and Recreation, an environmental free cycling event. And finally, Saturday, April 27th, from noon to 6:30 p.m. at the Arts Commission, the Holy Event. We have a motion to close. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Good night.